How's it going, everyone? The One MFP here. I hope you're all having a great day today. Today I'm gonna start digging into Tyler Joseph's pre-21 Pilots content. In other words, I'm gonna be checking out No Phun Intended. Now this is gonna be a bit different than my other 21 Pilots album reactions in that, you know, in those reactions I kind of just made one big video. This time around I'm gonna devote a video to each song. I'll basically make another series out of it. It's all gonna be in its own playlist, so I'll have a No Phun Intended playlist, and you could just go through all of the content as I release it in that playlist. Now, if you're new to this channel, welcome. My name's Matt. I post reaction videos here. I've reacted to all of 21 Pilots albums, so if you're interested in that, I'm gonna have a link pop up right here. There's an entire playlist dedicated to my 21 Pilots reactions. It's a series I made. I reacted to the Trench video series. I reacted to Heavy Dirty Souls video. I reacted to all the 21 Pilots albums. It's all in that playlist. So if you like that, you could check out that playlist. And if there's some other bands you like, you could check out my channel. I've reacted to some other bands as well. So if you like that type of content and you like what you see in this video, please take the time to check that stuff out. And if you enjoy that, please subscribe. I always appreciate the support. Now, the first song I'm going to be getting into off of No Phun Intended is what I believe to be the first song off of the album slash mixtape slash whatever we want to call this. But anyways, the first song on the list is Blasphemy. So with a title like that, I'm guessing we're going to have similar subject matters as we had in the self-titled album. I'm also guessing this content is from around the same time as that album. Probably just a few years before at most. It's gonna be interesting to hear what a Tyler Joseph song sounds like without other bandmates. But let's get right into it. Piano. That's something I kind of expected.
Don't know where I should go when the tears and fears begin to multiply. One half of my heart is free, empty sky, no way, that's me, cause the other half of my heart's asleep. Sing a song, but don't believe. Blasphemy is just for me. Hypocrite.
This sounds so familiar.
Can I understand you? Can I understand you?
This always gets me. In a way, that kind of reminded me of Clear for some reason.
Lights, camera, stop. We're getting ourselves to get to the top, but I won't stop talking about what we got and how we're not loving, moving off the lot. Enough about you, let's talk about me. Sorry, and I pray that word was heard. Sing a song, but don't believe. Blasphemy is just for me. Hypocrite, take your pick. Can I understand you?
This is intense.
Let the water wash away. Today is gone, and tomorrow's sure to come.
So that was Blasphemy, and there's a lot of interesting things going on in this song. First of all, that first verse sounded very familiar. He says, I start to part two halves of my heart in the dark, and I don't know where I should go, and the tears and the fears begin to multiply. I feel like he said that at some point. You know what, I'm just gonna copy those two lines here and like actually Google search it to figure out what song this is from, because I can almost guarantee it's from something. Anathema, that's what it's from. Let me see the actual lyrics from Anathema. I still don't know if I'm pronouncing that properly. I hope I am. Yeah, verse 3 in Anathema is identical to verse 1 off of this song. I know that those first two lines really, they really struck me. I was like, okay, I know this is from something else I've heard. And he also said that screaming to an empty skyline, that also sounded very familiar to me. So now I know why it's from Anathema. So that begs the question, are we really supposed to be hearing this? Another thing I found interesting is the sound. The sound I mean, first of all, of course, he's rapping a lot over this. We see that element of his style in 21 Pilots music to this day. It's interesting to see where he was at with that this far back in the past. I was gonna say that with the theme of this song, you could see his mind was in a place that is similar to where he was at later on, especially in Regional at Best, because there was elements of this that sounded like Ode to Sleep as well, with him saying things like, taking time in a simple place in my bed where my head rests on a pillowcase, and it's said that a war's led, but I forget that I let another day go by. And moreover, it made me think of that state he finds himself in sometimes where he's having difficulties dealing with troubling thoughts. And those thoughts seem to be very persistent at the nighttime when the mind is basically idle. But with the first verse here being identical to the last verse off of Anathema on Regional at Best, we could see that Tyler definitely did have a similar inspiration at that time as he did in this time. There are some persistent feelings here, and it makes a lot of sense because even now in the Trench era, we see similar themes being talked about. So these are important themes and important metaphors in his everyday life. We have talk about thoughts, religion, anxiety, the inner conflicts caused by contradictory thoughts. It's been present across all 21 Pilots albums, so it's not surprising to see that being present here. It's pretty impressive to see how early some of these thoughts were developed. For him not to change a single thing about this first verse here in an album that came later on, it goes to show you how important and close to his heart it is. But anyways, I want to get into some of the lyrics here. In the chorus, he says, "Sing a song, but don't believe blasphemy is just for me. Hypocrite, take your pick, cause the poison's on my lips. Can I understand you?" Now this is interesting because in the verse that precedes this, he says, "Am I screaming to an empty sky?" It's a question, but it's a question that could be deemed blasphemous. So with him saying, "Sing a song, but don't believe blasphemy is just for me," this touches on an interesting aspect about 21 Pilots music and Tyler Joseph's writing that has come up quite a bit in these reactions of mine. Writing helps Tyler deal with his thoughts. It also helps him, cope with his emotions. In Ode to Sleep, where he refers to his pen as a harpoon or as a weapon, in fact, I think he said something about it being forged in darkness. All this relates to this idea of Tyler using writing to deal with those darker thoughts that are hard for him to even think about. It's things he doesn't feel comfortable having conversations about, writing about them, singing about them. That's his way of getting that information out there, and it's his way of coping with them as well. So when he says, "Sing a song, but don't believe blasphemy is just for me," I see it as he's trying to tell the listener that he's writing this song because it's something he feels somewhere within himself, but at the same time, he doesn't want to go against God. He still considers himself a firm believer in his faith, and writing things like this isn't a contradiction of that. It's him not ignoring the side of him that does have questions. It's him not ignoring those questions altogether. But then right after, he says, "Hypocrite, take your pick, cause the poison's on my lips." So these words are coming out of him. So is he or isn't he being blasphemous in writing this song? And this takes me to Fall Away, where he talks about abusing grace to save face. This overall encompasses this theme of the mask that we've seen in 21 Pilots albums. Tyler believes that there's things that we struggle with internally, but we put on a mask to avoid revealing that to the world because a part of us is ashamed, a part of us is fearful of the opinions that would be made of us. So we put on masks to hide all of that. We put on masks to demonstrate what we want the world to see, what we want the world to think of us. Now, with a song like Blasphemy, Tyler's suggesting that this is him taking off that mask, which makes sense if he's sharing his emotions on these songs, if he's coping with them on these songs. It makes a lot of sense that his mask is off when he's writing these songs. Then we have the second verse. From what I'm getting out of this verse, it feels like Tyler's general view on people is that people are greedy. We always want more, and we're not going to stop at anything until we get what we want. And that leads to people stepping on people, people hurting people. Tyler seems to feel like that's all meaningless. There's no reason for any of this to happen. People use possessions to define their value, and it's false meaning essentially. And with him ending the verse on the word that's most used by people being sorry, it seems like he feels that at some point people realize that it was false meaning and they're not entirely satisfied with what they've done and the pain that they've caused, and for that reason people are always seeking forgiveness. And with him referring to everything he said in the first verse, it feels like he's tying this into the things he feels guilty about, things that he feels guilty that he did that goes against his own belief system. He feels like he's in that same boat of people who seek forgiveness because he holds himself accountable for feeling guilty. He feels that he must have done something wrong if his own body is waging war on him. He feels at fault for those conflicting thoughts. He gave life to them in his opinion, so he feels guilty. And that's pretty much what I make of this song. In the end, when he says, let the water wash away everything that you've become on your knees, today is gone and tomorrow is sure to come. This goes back to that other theme that I guess started in Ode to Sleep, probably started somewhere in Self-Titled as well. I probably mentioned it there. Of, you know, the day kind of ending and then the next day being a new opportunity, a blank slate, so to speak. All these thoughts he feels so guilty about, in the morning they tend to go away because he's got more activities going on, you know, he's got more things to think about, so his mind tends to ruminate a bit less. So these thoughts aren't as present. But once that nighttime approaches, those thoughts may come again. And that's why he's fearful of the nighttime. But Tyler does a really good job of explaining his stance here in this song, Blasphemy. He tries to hide away things he feels guilty about. They come out of him one way or another. This song is an example of it. He's talking about something blasphemous, but he's saying that blasphemy isn't for him. But he can't deny that there's some blasphemous thoughts within. He would like to identify as somebody who isn't blasphemous, but he can't deny that he is in a way, and he feels guilty for being that. And that's something he struggles with. We're introduced to it here in this song. I'm guessing we're gonna see more of it throughout No Phun Intended, but that does it for my reaction to Blasphemy. You guys let me know what you thought in the comments down below. You know I always love hearing your feedback. Please leave a like on this video if you enjoyed the video, and I will see you all in the next video. The next song I will be reacting to off of No Phun Intended is Drown. Be sure to hit that subscribe button if you would like to be notified when that reaction is up. See you guys in the next video.